Hey guys, welcome into the Starcastic and Mark Studios. No trumpets today. No trumpets today. My name is Ryan, and this is Starcastic and Marks. This is the after game review for game number 81 of 82. We have one more remaining. Stars had a 3-0 lead going into the second intermission, and then blow the lead and lose 4-3 in overtime to, of all teams, the Arizona Coyotes. Chris, help me to make some sort of sense out of this.
I'll make the sense out of it. The Stars have made it to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Hooray! We did it.
Right, exactly. That's exactly how I feel. I'm like, okay, yay playoffs, but man, that sucked watching.
Yeah, that was the most Dallas Stars way you could ever clinch a position in the Stanley Cup playoffs in the history of ever. I mean, these past few games, like they've made it to the playoffs, and they've somehow done it while remaining consistent to the Dallas Stars brand. You gotta respect them for it.
it's just frustrating. I want to be excited, but I can't because that loss really kind of stung like hardcore. And I'll be honest, I kind of saw the end result before I finished watching the game, totally by accident, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? This is just a troll or something, and it wasn't. So, what do we talk about? Do you want to talk about the game first, or do you want to talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs first? Because I guess we should talk about the game first, since that's
Yeah.
the sucky part, and then we'll talk about the playoffs at the end. So, okay, so let's talk about the game. Biggest winner, biggest loser tonight, Chris.
Oh man. Uh, Biggest winner, I guess we'll say Miro Heiskanen. He scored again. That's good. We'll need that in the playoffs. Uh, I just don't have a lot to say about this game right now. Biggest loser is all of the Dallas Stars for blowing a 3-goal lead. And me. I posted two things on social media. I posted a tweet that said, I've never been so happy to watch such a boring game. And that was at the end of the second period. And then someone posted on the Facebook group. They said, "Where's the turtle?" And I said, "Don't worry, we'll see it in the third." And boy, howdy did we! It was great.
Yeah, that. If you had to ask me, biggest winner tonight, Tyler Seguin. I think he gets a goal and assist in the first period. Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of a moot point because it's like they lost the game.
He scored an on-brand Tyler Seguin goal for this year
An
without a
on
stick.
brand this year Tyler Seguin goal.
Yeah,
So I don't know what's going on with all that, but whatever, whatever. And I guess you could say the biggest loser, unfortunately, goes to Scott Wedgwood. Although, I mean, not really his fault in all those goals. Just because he
yeah,
had an opportunity to, he had. That's funny to say. You lose 4-3, and I'm about to say this, and it's about to come out of my mouth. But he had an opportunity to have a shutout against his old team,
yeah.
and
And
then they blow it.
actually, and it probably the goalie situation was probably solidified last game with that choice of playing Otter. But like, it's further solidified now. Like, those were the opposite of clutch saves by Wedgwood. I mean, he was very good in the first period, especially. But then the third period came around, and you couldn't stop any of their chances. They pretty much had three chances. Well, they had two chances, and both of them went in, and the other one was insane.
I just don't understand this game. This is the. This is the. I mean, you're exactly right, Chris. I mean, this is on brand Dallas Stars hockey at its finest. You go and you're in the playoffs. You knock the Golden Knights out of playoff contention, but you lose the game and give up a 3-goal lead. If that's not a Steve dang it, if that's not on one of his dang it videos, I would be very surprised. You make the playoffs, but you give up a 3-goal lead and lose in overtime to the worst team in the NHL.
Yeah. And did you have a loser?
I said my loser, Wedgwood.
Oh, Wedgwood, right? Yeah.
But not because he played bad, but because he didn't get the shutout that he probably should have gotten. So
Yeah. Okay, I'm done talking about that game, or don't even want to talk about it anymore.
don't even want to talk about it.
Not really, man.
Okay. Anything
So
from the game?
the big thing is just like the Stars have played down to opponents, and then they played up to opponents, I mean, we're gonna have no choice but to play up to opponents in the playoffs. So let's hope that happens. And then the last time we were in the playoffs, which was when we made the cup run, we started the same way. I mean, we limped into our playoff spot. We played. We've had about a 4-month break, duh, and then we had those round robin games where we sucked, which was crazy. And then we figured it out. So who knows? Maybe we'll figure it out this year too. But does not feel good to limp into the playoffs.
Well, maybe they won't. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll have a good game against Anaheim and they'll go into the playoffs with a good.
Well, even
I
if
don't
they
know.
beat Anaheim, their past 5 games have been bad. I mean, the road trip in the West, you beat the Kraken, one of the worst teams in the league, by 1 goal, barely.
Yeah.
The Vegas game was a good game, and then we play this one and we crap the bed again. I mean, we've had 1 good game out of 5. So, I mean, I don't know, man. Even if we win the next game, I still feel like we're limping in.
Well, so here is a comment that I want to pull up because Eric, Brandon, Alex, who else did I miss? Who's in there? I mean, they're just all talking about the game before we even started on here. Obviously, we're starting this late because it's Wednesday. We went to church, all that sort of stuff. But how many bad losses? 2 to Arizona, 1 to Montreal, 1 to Seattle, 2 to Ottawa, 3 to Vancouver, and 1 to San Jose. And none of those teams are making the playoffs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How many losses do they have this season?
20 points.
That's 20
How many
points.
losses do we have?
How many losses do we have? I think we're at 21. No, 30 something.
We're at 30.
So
30 losses.
So you take 10 of those losses away, we're a 50-win team.
If we win all those games, then we're the second best team in our division. 2 points behind Colorado.
I don't get it, man. Here's the good news about this. We don't have to see any of those teams in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Don't have to see any of those teams.
So that doesn't matter anymore. Right. At least for this year.
Now, here's one thing we should also talk about is where the Stars should be in the playoffs picture right now. So who are we going to play in the playoffs? Do we have any chance of playing Calgary? Because I'd much rather play Calgary than Colorado, but that doesn't seem to be.
I mean, technically, if you close the season down, if a COVID happens again, we shut the season down. We're playing Calgary right now. But honestly, the Preds are probably gonna. Well, I can't say they're probably gonna win the next 2 games. They might lose the next 2 games. They play Colorado tomorrow, which Colorado probably doesn't want to play us, so they're probably gonna try and beat them. And then they play the day after that, I think. Yeah, they play the day after, but against Arizona. So, as long as they win 1 game and we lose against the Ducks, then they get that spot. But man, I don't think the Stars are going to beat the Ducks the way they're playing right now.
Yeah, and that's really scary. That's really scary because we're supposed to be going into this game with, I don't know, some sort of chutzpah.
It should have been jubilation tonight, and it was super sad. Nick Moroch tweeted before we blew the 3-goal lead that it was super quiet in the building, which that was just because the game was boring, and because the second period was insane. I mean, the Coyotes were non-existent. Like, it looked like the Globetrotters against the Generals. It was it was nuts. And then just complete role reversal in the third, which I don't even know how that's possible when you're an objectively better team.
I love how you say objectively better team, because we obviously weren't the better team tonight because we lost. So, but
we didn't build a team that was built to lose. Arizona is trying to lose hockey games, and they failed tonight.
Oh man, that's so frustrating. But okay, I guess we should be excited for the playoffs and everything like that. So, I mean, what do you want to do? Do you want to talk about the playoffs?
The optimism is that we're likely playing Colorado. We have played well against them, and we played well against all the good teams. Well, our season series, didn't we win it 2-1? I think.
Yeah, but in one of those games, Otter stood on his head, and we got outplayed by Colorado. Colorado deserved to win that game, and we still won because of Otter.
Hey,
If Otter
that's how.
if Otter plays like that against Colorado in the playoffs, like he did in that one game, then I feel a lot better about our chances. But what are the chances of that happening?
I mean,
He's
that's
going
how
to be able
upsets
to do that
happen.
every single game.
I mean, okay, if you want to be realistic, let's get realistic. The
Okay.
Stars have no chance against Colorado. The only chance of them beating Colorado is for something like that to happen. I mean, the Stars have to align. Our first line has to play well. Ben and Sagan has to wake up. Klinger and Heiskanen have to wake up, and Otter has to play great. That's what all has to happen for us to do good in the playoffs. Which it's unlikely, but it can still happen. And that's what we've been saying about you just got to get in, and who knows what happens. And hockey is the only game where that's really possible. If we were talking about basketball, I mean, we'd just be having 4 extra games just to see how our players do. But luckily, we're playing hockey, and we actually have somewhat of a chance.
Well, I would love to see the Stars play the Flames instead of the Colorado Avalanche, because
Definitely.
honestly, with the way that Colorado is playing right now, it's stupid. We've had good success against both of those teams. I mean, the last time we saw both of those teams was in the bubble playoffs in 2020. We beat both of those teams. So I guess if you're also looking for a positive spin on all of this and the fact that the Stars have to play one of those teams, we beat both of those teams in the bubble playoffs. So I mean, but I honestly, I really don't. I mean, the other way you could look at it negatively is the fact that we beat them both. So both of those teams may be looking for a retribution, and they really may crank up the volume on all of those games and just sweep us out of the playoffs. So I mean, I could see either side, whether you be the pessimistic or the optimist. So I don't know. What do you think? Would you be the pessimist or the optimist? You went out again, Chris. We can't hear you. Okay, well, while he's getting back, honestly, I would like to be the optimist, but the way that I've seen this team play recently, I'm more of a pessimist just because of what's been going on. Like you said, Chris, in the past couple of games, in the last 5 games, we've won one, and the one we won was in a shootout, so it's not a real win.
Yep.
So in the 3 games we played on the road against, one against a really bad team, we got destroyed 6-3, and then we lost to Edmonton and Calgary. So teams that we thought we might have a chance against in the playoffs. And now I'm just kind of like, I mean, we were all excited
But
last night, but then the game tonight kind of destroyed all of that because of the way the Stars played.
but what was your exact feeling going into the 2020 playoffs? Was it not this precisely? Because this is how I felt in 2020.
I felt I felt really bad during the round robin games. The round
Yeah.
robin games. And it was especially the game against St. Louis where I was just like, somehow we won and we didn't deserve to win, and we got to play as the number 3 seed. And now the roles are completely reversed. And if we play Calgary is the top team in the Pacific, and they have the best line in hockey when it comes to 5-on-5 scoring with Goudreau, Lindholm, and Kachuk. And now we're the quote unquote underdog, I guess, in this. And I mean, I don't know. And so why don't you answer my question? Are you a pessimist or an optimist right now? What is your gut feeling right now going into the playoffs?
I am not hopeful, so I'm a pessimist. But I mean, I didn't expect us to be here in the first place. I mean, I know tonight sucked and it's not fun. It's the worst way you could clutch a playoff spot ever. But we got to look on the bright side. This team is led by some young guys that we're going to have for a long time. That we're going to about to sign to some big contracts, I bet too. And they're going to be a lot of fun to watch in the time coming. We're dropping a lot of dead weight, namely Alexander Radulov. We're dropping some contracts from hurt players. We have a lot of young guys coming up soon too. That's going to be a lot of fun. We played 700 hockey. We were one of the top 10 teams in the NHL since the All-Star break, and we just got to the playoffs and we got a chance. I mean,
And we're
you can
still
see
losing to
this.
bad teams.
We're still losing to bad teams. Yeah, absolutely. We're still losing to
Oh
bad
my
teams, and we
goodness.
did 700. We could have been the best team in hockey if we just beaten bad teams.
Yeah, but
So
every team could say that. Vegas could say, "Oh, well, we could have been first in the Pacific Division if it hadn't been for all of our injuries." And now look at them; they're
nobody
missing the
has
playoffs for
lost
the
to as
first time.
nobody has lost to as many bad teams as the Stars have, and that is nobody's fault except for their brains because they've shown that they're good because they beat the good teams. It's crazy. Such a weird mental block for an entire team to have. But anyway, what I'm
Yep.
saying is you can view kind of this because we should admit this is kind of like a weird bridge year because like we have the new young guys, we have Robo, Hintz, Heiskanen, and we still have Ben Sagan, Radulov. This is weird. This is strange. So we can view
That's
this
true.
as the final call of Ben and Sagan or as the beginning of something new and beautiful. So the
That's a
beginning of the
very
2017 draft class. So
that's an and
I'm optimistic about the team, and I'm pessimistic about the playoffs. But who knows? I'm just gonna have fun because we shouldn't be here in the first place.
and maybe the Stars will take that mantra going into the playoffs and thinking, we barely made it in. We have nothing to lose. Let's just go see what we can do.
And you know what? The most fun thing in the world to watch is playoff hockey when you are emotionally invested. That is so much fun,
Jeez.
and we're gonna get at least 4 games of it, and it's gonna be awesome.
Well, as long as we don't lose all 4 games.
Even if we lose 4 games, I'll be upset, but like I won't be as upset as losing to the Blues in Game 7 in double overtime.
When we
I
could
don't
have
think
won.
anything could top that.
It's amazing how the game of hockey is all about inches. I mean, you remember the wraparound goal or the
Yeah.
wraparound non-goal that Jamie Benn
Mm-hmm.
had there in what was it 2018? No, that was the Caps.
I don't even remember.
2019. It's 2019 when the Blues won the cup, and that's when they beat us in Game 7 double overtime. I mean, not even an inch, maybe like a quarter
Less
of
than
an
an
inch,
inch.
and that game would have been over. And who knows at that point if we would have gone and won the Stanley Cup there. But man, okay, let's take a look at a couple of comments because I saw a question that I wanted to answer, but it was way up here. I think I missed it.
Well,
Oh
just tell us what the
man,
question was.
that's the problem is I don't even remember it.
Okay, that's good. I'll pull up a question. Brandon asked if we're pessimistic or optimistic about Bones' future as the coach.
That was it.
Oh, that was it? Okay,
That was it.
cool. Well, I read your mind. Well, we're going to have the same answer for this. Bones is not going to be the coach for the Dallas Stars next year. That is not going to happen. This is the end of his contract. He hasn't been re signed. They're going into the playoffs. If he was going to be the coach next year, he would have been re signed. I honestly think that.
Not necessarily.
If he is, hold on. I'm not finished. If he somehow is miraculously signed in the offseason, I will riot. Well, it'll be a one-man riot.
Oh man. Well, Brandon, thank you for your comment. Chris said I guess you're pessimistic.
No, I'm optimistic about Bones not being here.
Okay. So so you flipped it on me. Okay. Man, I want to be optimistic because Bones has a winning record in Dallas the past 3 years. But again, just some of the questionable decisions that he makes and the thing that kills me is the third periods. I mean, this year and the past 2 seasons, in the third period, the Stars cannot close out games. And I guess we just have to have a 1-goal lead, not a 3-goal lead. That's stupid. Yeah. But the fact that it requires it to be a 1-goal game in order for us to win, that's frustrating. And we had all the offense that we needed tonight, and we didn't. I mean, I'll give the Stars the second goal. The second goal was a complete fluke. It was a shot from the point that bounced off of like 3 different people and somehow ended up behind Wedgwood. It was like a magic puck, I think is what Razor said. But other than that, man, I mean, there was no. I mean, how many shots did they have in the third period? Do you know? Do you have that in front of you?
I can get it in front of me.
Here, let me look real quick because I was really frustrated about that. I
got
bet you
it.
they have less than 5. Less than 5.
It's 3.
Yeah, I told you. What did I say? 3
Yeah.
shots. You can't win a game in the NHL nowadays by turtling every single time. And that's
But
one
we've
of
done
the
that every game. Like every single time we take a lead into the third period, that exact thing happens. I don't, we need to find if we have one game where we go into the third period with the lead and we have more than 8 shots. Because I don't think we would.
man, and one of the interesting things I actually thought about doing it before I jumped on here, but I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna jump on here. Is what our record versus playoff teams is versus teams not in the playoffs. And like what the point percentage is against those teams. I would love to absolutely know the answer to that question. And I'm
It,
going to be doing that after this episode here tonight.
and it's definitely higher against the playoff teams, and that's where we find our optimism going into the playoffs is that we play good against good teams. So there's kind of your hope, but it's truly going to be 1 against 8, David versus Goliath, and it's going to be tough, but it's still going to be fun. It's going to be awesome to watch playoff hockey again, and it needs to be as Stars fans, we need to hold the team accountable and make sure this happens every year, and not just be happy with this.
So going into the playoffs, who do you think the Stars will play? Do you think they'll play Calgary, or do you think we'll end up playing Colorado? Because I have
I
an
think they'll
answer.
play Colorado. I think
I agree too.
they're gonna get blown out against Anaheim. Actually,
Biggest huff in the world. It's like I don't even know what to say about this, but okay, let's look even further past that because obviously the whole goal in all of this is what? To win the Stanley Cup. What is it going to take for the Stars to win the Stanley Cup? And who's going to have to play well and who's going to have to really stand out?
yeah, it's what I said earlier, and it's not just one guy. Like the first line has to keep doing what it's doing and doing it consistently. Ben and Sagan have to show up and help some way. Klinger and Heiskanen have to score goals and produce offense, not just defense, and they have to do it in spite of Bone's system. And Otter has to get hot and play extremely well. All of those things are definitely able to happen. Are all those things able to happen at once? Probably not. But
at least we've been proven in the. What was that? Did your TV just randomly turn on? Chris has got a ghost in his dorm room.
that is actually terrifying. I'm like,
it's the ghost of the playoffs coming to warn you that the Stars are going to get swept in the first round.
more like the ghost of the
I'm just
Vegas
kidding.
Golden Knights. We haven't even talked about that.
Oh, yeah.
They missed the playoffs for the first time ever. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So, yeah, let's go ahead and get into that because tonight in the game against the Chicago Blackhawks, they tie it up 3-3, go into overtime, go into the shootout for the third time in a row, and they lose in a shootout for the third time in a row.
And they scored no goals.
No goals. Logan Thompson stops 12 of 14, I think. I think it went 7 rounds deep again in the Chicago
It went
game.
6 rounds.
6 rounds. Okay,
oh, no, it did go 7. It did go 7.
Okay, so yeah, 12 of 14 then. And he loses both of those shootouts. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Vegas is 0 for 17 on shootout attempts in 3 games.
That's insane. Absolutely insane. So I want to get into the playoff rounds and talk about who wins what matchup here in a second. But Vegas, let's talk about Vegas for a second with some other things. Are the Golden Knights going to just blow everything up and just trade everybody away because they're all hacked off for not making the playoffs? Or are they actually going to be level-headed and say, hey, we had a lot of injuries. We didn't play our best. You know, we're asking guys to be our best players when they're not even 100%. I mean, Mark Stone, Jack Eichel, I think is still rehabbing, honestly.
Well, definitely he is.
So what do you think is going to happen? Do you think they're going to overreact, or do you think they're going to maybe for once not chase this shiny toy of the new player that's out there or whatever.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. I mean, being level-headed in their situation is definitely the correct decision, like you were saying, because they were just plagued by injuries this year, and they made a big trade for a player who they knew was going to be injured in an attempt to be good in the future. So what they should do is just sit still, maybe go get another goalie if Robin Leonard's going to be that broken. That's an option. Too bad they cut ties with Fleury. I mean, that's crazy. There was trade rumors of Vegas getting Fleury again. That was insane. Anyway,
He wouldn't
they
go
should.
back anyways. There's
Yeah, no,
no
he
way
would.
he would go back.
Yeah, but it's just crazy that even came up. But
Hmm.
they should just sit pat. But this franchise is the one that I could see not doing that. They're like the polar opposite to the Stars.
Well, and some people have actually come out and called them. That's funny, Ardell. You are reading my mind. I swear, you guys are like have watched us so much now that you're reading our minds. Vegas is a trash organization, and I'm glad they lost so many d-bag moves by their front office.
Well, I wasn't going to
That
say
was
it.
gonna be my question actually, Chris, is because some people have come out and called Vegas a trash organization, not because they're necessarily a bad team. Well, I guess they are a bad team this year, but because of the way that they treat their players. And we talked about this a little bit on the watch along yesterday. But do you think they have that cloud over their franchise? And because obviously players talk, right?
Well, yeah, they definitely do. I mean, they're going to have the reputation for not really caring about you or your situation. All they're going to care about is winning. What that also is going to do is that might draw some players. I mean, if a player is just 100% focused, I want to do nothing but win, they might go to a place like Vegas. Because, like, you can call them out for doing terrible things and rude things. The Dodonov situation, awful. The Flurry thing was terrible. I don't even, there was some trade that the dude didn't find out until on Twitter. Was that Vegas or was that Buffalo? I don't know. But anyway,
I'm pretty sure that was Flurry. That was Flurry. He found out on
that was the
Twitter.
Flurry thing. Yeah. But either way, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I was saying they're focused on winning. So a player might overlook that stuff if it means that they're going to win. And then other franchises have stigmas like that too. I mean, the Star stigma is that they are mediocre and that it's a great place to go retire, I guess. Buffalo's is just terrible. They're just bad. I mean,
Get
Buffalo is
this.
probably in a worse situation than Vegas.
Well, get this, because this is hilarious. Once Jack Eichel was traded, the Buffalo Sabres actually had a winning record. And
Yeah.
recently, I'm not joking, they've won 5 out of their last 6. Now, I know this is the end of the year, and some teams don't really care, and the teams that are not in the playoffs are just kind of playing their games and stuff like that. But, I mean, that's nothing to not, put your nose up to. 5 out of 6? I mean, that's still pretty good, right?
Still, the franchise just has that cloud of not being good. The whole situation with Jack Eichel, not good either. How are you going to tell your player no to surgery that he wants to do? That's kind of crazy. So I'm just saying that all franchises have stuff like that for the most part. So and it's not terrible that Vegas' stigma is they'll do anything to win because that will draw some players. But you're right, it'll turn away other players too.
I'm just frustrated because I still cannot believe what they did to Flower, aka Marc-Andre Fleury. The fact that you did that to your goalie, and I mean they could have used him. I mean they flat out could have
They
used
needed
him
him.
now. And the thing is that you could argue that, wanting to win actually hurt this team. You go out and they've got all the big boys, right? They went out and they got Max Pacioretty. They went out and got Pietrangelo and got the big free agent person on the market. They went out and got Jack Eichel. What did it do them? 0 good. They're not in the play.
This year. They're not in the
And
playoffs because they got injured and they're trying to recover with Jack Eichel. And Jack Eichel is going to be a great player for them in the future. There's no doubt about that.
But we don't know that for sure.
Yeah, we do.
He hasn't scored at a $10 million pace like he's been asked to the past 2 seasons. And again, I know he's been hurt, but still, the fact is that they chased all of these things, and they basically said, "Oh, screw the cap. We'll worry about that later." And they hurt their they hurt their team when they didn't have any depth.
Yeah, this year it hurt their team especially, but they're going to be a good team next year. They've been one of the best teams of the league the past 5 years. You can't argue with results, is what I'm saying.
What results? They're I
The
mean,
past
their
four
level.
seasons, they've never missed. This is their first time making the playoffs. They made it to the Stanley Cup final the first year. They made it
Okay,
to past the first round every other year. What do you mean?
but
What results?
what is their measuring stick though? What is their measuring stick? What do they
They're
want?
trying to win a cup.
That's exactly right. Did they get there? No. They said
They're
5
going
years.
to.
I don't know about that. I don't think so. They said 5 years. In 5 years, we're going to win a Stanley Cup.
You
This
can't
is the
argue
fifth
that
year.
they're not one of the best teams of the past 5 years, though, because they definitely are.
I'm not going to say that. You're right. Okay. But the thing is they don't care about that. They don't care about that. Their measuring stick is Stanley Cup, which is why they went and chased all the crazy, stupid acquisitions like they did.
Okay,
And
but they're not
when
a
they
bad
did that,
team.
they hurt their chances.
They're a good team, though. You're trying to say they're a bad team. They're not a bad team. They're a good team.
I'm
They
not
just
saying
over-pursued
I'm not saying they're a bad team. I'm just saying that I think that they really hurt their chances. And after this season, I don't know what this Vegas Golden Knights team is going to look like.
It's going to look very good when all their players are healthy.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right for their sake. But
I hope I'm wrong, but okay.
You hope you're wrong. I said for their sake. I didn't say for my sake. I hope they don't, because honestly, I think the reason why we're in the playoffs is because Vegas had all the injuries. I think if Vegas didn't make makes the playoffs, I think we're the one looking on the outside. That's just my opinion. But anyways, you want to look at the playoff matchups and talk about Western Conference, and we'll wrap it up.
Let's do it.
So you want to go Central Division? Well, let's do Pacific Division first, since
Sounds
the Stars will be in the Central. So let's look at the first matchup between Calgary and Nashville. Who wins in that series? How many games and why?
Calgary in 6. Oh no, Calgary in 5. Saros is not going to be healthy.
So you think? Yeah. So by the way, that's a good point. That's a good point. UC Saros got injured, and he's not playing in the last 2 games for the Nashville Predators. So this matchup still might not happen. It may be Calgary and Dallas. We don't know yet.
Mm-hmm.
But we're just going with what the current matchups are right here, because this seems still
current
most
matchups
likely.
are technically the other way, but
whatever. Yeah. Okay. So, but
I still think point percentage wise. There we go.
Point percentage wise. Yes. They literally are 0.001 point percentage above the Dallas Stars right now. That's insane. So, so you think Calgary?
Yeah, Calgary in 5.
Calgary in 5. Okay. I'm going to agree with you, but I'm going to go crazy and say this is going to be a sweep, because Calgary has the best line in the NHL.
And Nashville doesn't have a goalie.
Nashville doesn't have a goaltender. And, and Calgary does. I mean, Markstrom's been good. So, and even if Markstrom is not playing well, they've still got Dan Vladar, who is a very capable backup. I mean, you could think along the lines of Hudobin, back when Hudobin was good. But so their goaltending is very stacked. And I mean, right now in net for the Nashville Predators, it's actually Dave Riddick, which is really interesting, because Dave Riddick used to be the starting goalie for the Calgary Flames. So that might actually be an intangible in favor of the Nashville Predators, because Dave Riddick may be like, oh, dude, I get to play against my old team that got rid of me? Heck yeah.
Well, you remember why they got rid of him, though? Because he was a bad
he wasn't
goalie.
Very good.
So
he used to be called Big Save Dave up there in the northern Alberta area, but no longer. So so Calgary in 4 is what I think. So
moving on, this is my sweep. Edmonton versus LA. Edmonton takes it in 4. They finally do something, and they're going to sweep.
I don't think it's going to be a sweep, but I agree with you that it's going to be Edmonton. It's not going to be 6 games. It's not going to be 7. It's going to be 5. Edmonton in 5, and I'm expecting these games to be like 15-12 and like 13-10 and stuff like that, because that's how Edmonton's going to win. because they don't have any goaltending. So, and plus their defense is absolutely atrocious. So, assuming Calgary beats Nashville, it'll be Calgary and Edmonton between those two teams. Who wins, Chris, in that semifinal matchup?
First of all, I hope that happens. That would be such an awesome
Battle of
series.
Alberta. Yes, agreed.
That would be the coolest thing ever. Edmonton will lose in 5 games. It'll be fun.
Really?
Hmm.
I think it's going to be really, 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 really tough for Calgary to kind of wrap this one up. So just because that's Battle of Alberta and we all want to see more Battle of Alberta games, Calgary in 7. And it's going to be double overtime. Double
That would
overtime.
be
And I'll say, who's going to, you know what? Just because Blake Coleman gets the goal in game 7, double overtime.
that would be the most epic playoff series like ever.
I would love that. If the Stars get out in the first round, we should totally watch that series and go with that. But okay, let's transfer to the Central Division here. Let's go with the first one, and this one's really interesting. Like really interesting. Minnesota and St. Louis. I mean, that's going to be a really tough matchup for both of those teams. Who wins this series and why?
I think it's going to 7 games, and I think St. Louis wins it in 7. St. Louis has more experience in this situation. I mean, obviously they won the cup recently. They still have some of those.
Chris, your mic went out again. You're going to have to come back. Yeah, I know. We're going to have to figure out something with your mic because your mic keeps going out. Go away. Okay, well, while he's coming back here, I'm going to agree with him, and I'm going to say it's going to be St. Louis in 7. Now, St. Louis in 7 is going to be really interesting because, I mean, that game is going to be the game 7 is going to be absolutely astronomically huge. I don't think Minnesota has the experience. Now, with that said, the only way I can see Minnesota winning is if Fleury is just a backstop. Either way, I think this is going to go to 7 games because both of these teams are so evenly matched. I really should look at the season series between these two guys, but I do think that St. Louis will eventually win the series in 7. And again, I think it's going to take, overtime, double overtime in several of these games. So, by the way, who takes the starting net for St. Louis, Chris? Jordan Bennington or Ville Husso?
Husso.
I agree. And even though, Jordan Bennington was the playoff goalie magic person back in 2019, he hasn't played well this season. And Ville Husso has been the better goalie. So you go with the hotter goalie. And yeah. So
And you were pretty much saying exactly what I was saying. So I think St.
Yep.
Louis wins because of experience.
Yep. But do you think Fleury could steal this series?
He definitely can. I mean, he's one of the best goalies of our generation. He's proven
he's
that he
still
can steal
good.
series like that.
He's 36, 37, and he's still good. So
yeah, he could totally do it, but we'll see.
He's aged like fine wine. I still can't believe he's only won 1 Vezina, and that was last season. That blows my mind that he's only won 1 Vezina. Yeah. So he's just been that consistent for so long. That's why it's like that. But okay, let's get to it. So for the Stars, Colorado and Dallas, what are we going to put on it, Chris? Who wins the series and why, and what is it going to take?
Well, because of the time on the clock, we're doing this at 11:42, so most people are asleep, and most people probably aren't listening to an after game review for a game that we blew a 3-0 lead in overtime. So we only have loyal people here right now. So I'm gonna say the Stars are gonna lose to Colorado, but they're gonna lose in 6.
6. So you don't even give them 7.
Oh no. If I'm being
Stars
realistic, all those things I said that have to happen, all have to happen for us to beat this team. This team is very good. This team could easily win the playoffs. They could blow out the playoffs. I mean, out of the water. And any other bet other than Colorado versus Florida in the Stanley Cups finals is kind of a bad bet because both these teams are so much better than everybody else in the league.
I just don't think Florida makes it. I don't. I think they're going to choke. I think they will. They may win their first round matchup. I think they will win their first round matchup, but the semifinals, I just don't see it. I really don't. So, but that's just me. But you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and say Stars in 4. I'm just kidding. I'm totally joking. That is absolutely not going to happen. But
Colorado needs a Tampa moment.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's exactly what I was going with. But anyways, I'll say, my heart says Stars in 7, but my mind says Avs in 6. But I'm gonna follow my heart. So Stars in 7. It's gonna take 7 games. But they've done it before. They've done it before when they were a wild card team and they beat Nashville in 2019 when they played the Blues in the second round. And they were the best. They were the better team in that series. So
and we beat Colorado in round 2 years ago. And Colorado has sucked in the playoffs relatively compared to their regular season recently. So who knows? Maybe they keep doing that.
By the way, James is here. James, we totally did not talk about the game at all. I think we talked about it for like 7 minutes and then went on and talked about other stuff. But okay, so anyways, so we both logically are saying Colorado beats the Stars, and then I think we both said St. Louis. Okay, so out of those two teams, who wins?
Colorado.
I agree. I think it'll be Colorado there. So for me, it would be a Colorado-Calgary, I guess, conference final. Who wins in that?
Colorado.
I'm going to say Calgary.
You're wrong.
I'm going to say Calgary. Because I think Calgary has better goaltending than the Colorado Avalanche do. Both teams have really good offenses.
Colorado.
They both have pretty solid They both have really good, solid defenses. I just think that Calgary's got better goaltending. So, and that's the most important position in the entire game. So, I think Calgary will be the Western Conference representative to the Stanley Cup final. So,
all right. So we've already done our Eastern picks. Y'all can go see those. They're on our YouTube channel, so y'all can take a look at those there. But who's your pick to win it all, Ryan?
Well, I really don't want to pick either team because the two I picked, you know who I picked, right?
Who'd you pick?
I have Toronto and Calgary in the final. Can I go back and change it?
Nope.
I have to stick with what I got. But that's what I think. So I guess Toronto. No, that's not right. That's not right. See, I'm going back and forth.
It'll be too late. You already said Toronto.
No, I wasn't thinking logically. I'm committing here. Calgary, because I said this and I have to keep saying it again because I said it against Colorado. They've got the better goaltending than Toronto does. There we go.
You just said on the last video that we did for the Eastern Conference that no matter who makes it to the finals, the East is going to win it because they're just better.
And then I changed my mind because I don't want Toronto to win it.
What a hypocrite. What a hypocrite.
We would never hear the end of Toronto winning the Stanley Cup because they haven't won it in, 60 years? Something like that. 1967 was the last time they won the Stanley Cup. And that's
I'm going to commit. I'm going to commit Carolina wins it. Tops Colorado.
So
Nathan McKinnon, there's a great video of him crying on the bench. He just like actual bawling.
I ate candy today. That's why we lost.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So we got our picks for the for who we think goes from each conference and stuff like that. We got anything going on else, Chris, that we need to talk about? Because you're right. I really don't want to talk about the game anymore.
Nope, I'm good. The Stars are in the playoffs. 3 out of the last 4 years, the Stars have made the Stanley Cup playoffs. We are better.
We'll see. All right. Well, all right, guys. So that's going to do it for us here tonight. Please go and check out our store, StarcasticRemarksShop.com, for all of the merch options from us. We're in our phase 1 right now, and we'll have a phase 2 maybe sometime next year. I'm already looking into that sort of thing. We've got a special, hopefully a special event coming up that I want to be able to talk to you guys about, but I can't do it just yet because it's not solidified. But as soon as it is, I'll let you guys know what that is. And also, please, we ask that the next time you go and use the DraftKings app, our sponsor, use that promo code THPN. Along with Chris, my name is Ryan. We absolutely did not talk about the game tonight. We talked about anything and everything else we possibly could. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good evening, afternoon, morning, whenever you're listening. Bye.